G'day guys. A lot of people still asking about these Minelab knockoff GDX 8000 detectors, how they get them and they won't work properly. And yeah, well basically there's one here and I'll just turn it on. So after I've done a fair bit of work on it, it'll behave like a normal detector. Well, within reason. So 0.05, we're in lock the tripod mode. How about we put it in onto that mode there where it's looking at the coil. So 0.05. Gets that easy. 0.1. A lot faster than a standard Minelab detector, which basically says it probably hasn't got the same filtering in the detector. Normal mode, hot rock, full gain, factory just default, sitting there chirping away. Targets knock the tracking way out, and it's going to come back. So I'll just quickly track it. Fixed tracking. It does track. So one thing, if you go over it with a target though, oh no, it's relatively holding its tracking. I think it was worse than that. It's not, it's actually working. So even though, you know, our mates in China tell us that they developed this detector, no they didn't. They did not. So anyway, if you actually have a look at this and you say, this is David's here, I think. Here's someone coming in the door. So if you look at this, and do you know which one is the Minelab one and which one is the Chinese one? Well, you look at it and you'll go, looks the same to me. Basically, this one here is the Chinese one at the top. And if you can see that, and when you fire it up, it'll say GDX 8000. It won't say that's a Minelab device, because that would be telling lies, wouldn't it? So it is what it is. And even though they're knockoffs, they keep coming into the country. I don't think it'll ever be stopped. So on all the work, here we go. Don't want to touch around there, I'll probably get zapped. Paint isn't very good covering up stuff on these, but what got me about these, and especially the fiddly wires in there, that got me. That's a doozy, that one. The other interesting part of this is, and I'm still bamboozled, is that it's got the two rows of inductors and capacitors there for that 8 volt rail that is quad op amp. and it's only under 5,000. All the early 4500s, when the designs for the 4500 were snaveled up with all the radio designs, they only got the 4500 because if there was no 5000 around. And this is the 5000 board. So what's our friends in China doing with a 5000 board knockoff? And what's even more funny is I've gone through all the modes that are available to this detector, and you can see they've done some rewiring of the switch positions there. I don't know why they bother. Just relabel, put new labels on the switches in different positions. You don't need to do that. Maybe labour to do that is cheaper than having new labels made, or something like that anyway, or whatever. And it's always just, I just laugh at it because it's so funny that it was done that way. And yeah, so anyway, I've gone through all the modes on this, and it has just the same modes as a 4500. There's no fine gold. And I tell you what, right? I'll tell you right now, if they actually did somehow, because they've obviously got access to the code, they must have, because they do some quirky things on these detectors, and even if so, they do have the code. They can reprogram these. They haven't bothered programming fine gold into this model. There's no timings that look like fine gold whatsoever. It's only enhanced timings which look like they're accurate, and yeah, the rest of it's just doesn't change the TX, the transmit. And so you just look at it and you go, okay, it doesn't have fine gold, but they've actually somehow remodeled it on a physical 5000 GPX 5000 design. But I don't know why they'd bother, because it don't have fine gold. You don't need that if you don't have fine gold. So yeah, no, they've put the parts in there. There's a little 8-volt transistor regulator. Well, there it's just a capacitor-based capacitance booster. A couple of little caps in there. The 45s don't have it, so I don't know what their game plan was with this. And I'll tell you what I think it is. If you want me to tell you what it is, right? You're gonna have to laugh. I think what they tried to do is they tried to copy the 5000 circuit board, and this is what these are. And it looks like they were going to put fine gold into these GDX 8000 things. And I can tell you right now, if they put fine gold in there in software, it won't work. It wouldn't work in a million years. There's some fundamental mistakes. And I'm not going to say what they are, because I just don't want to. I don't want to give, people who claim they invented it an education on how to fix their problems, because they did not invent it. Uh, you know, I, I reckon they invented that. That's what they invented. Oh God. Sorry, I'm not having a go, but it's obvious. It's a freaking knockoff. Bloody Chinese companies. You stole it. You stole their design. You breached their IP, and it still cocked it up, because these things are a noisy bucket of bog, I tell you, and you have to go and do a lot of swappy rounds to make it work. It works fine now. It works like a 4500. Um, but it's just mind-boggling that it's just the way it's done. I really laugh because it's like, yeah, I'm just picturing the scheming, sitting there going, oh, if we do this and we do that and we get this 5,000 that we've purchased from wherever, and we copy the circuit board and we make these changes, and then we can add fine gold and sell it as a GDX 10,000 or something. And I really think they tried to do it. They just don't understand the fundamentals of some parts of this circuitry, and it didn't work. I think that could be what it is. Maybe they did this rewiring here. If you actually look at the 5,000 to the 4,500, it has different switch positions on the 5,000. It always confuses me. I'm used to doing a 4,500 a particular way for tracking, and when I do it on the 5,000, I think I hit something else there, whatever, a mode change or something. And it could be that they tried to do it and forgot about this bit. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm just, yeah, just saying it could be. It might be. I haven't even bothered trying to work out what they've changed and whatever's going on there. Or is this? I found ones with over-etched tracks on the 4053s up here. Well, down there at the moment. I've got it up the other way. But on here, under the white paint, I found tracks etched through, and it wouldn't work properly. So I find a lot of weird stuff on these detectors. But yeah, it's absolutely part location identical to a Minelab board. So you know exactly the story of how it came about. But I'm not going to say the obvious with it. I'm not going to say the obvious. But yeah. Anyway, it works. And it ground balances. It didn't ground balance. It was all over the shop. It was like it was like a cleaned out room in a nursing home. It had to be cleaned out. So it was all over the place. Yeah, I don't know what else I can say about it. I don't want to say too much about it, but it is what it is. Um, they've even used the same color wires. That's what gets me. It's exactly the same. The blue, the violet, and the yellow, the red and black. These push button switches they've got are they feel a bit cheap. They're not the same as these are very hard plastic. They're not the same as what Minelab use. The switches basically knock off C and K type switches. They work, but you got to be careful with them. These click all right. I've had them before, and I've said, "Oh, buy some of these Chinese switches," and I never ever did again. These are okay. You got to be careful. Some of the switches you get on Alibaba, they're like they're meant to be two-way switches, or center position off, and they feel like one end's like a rubber band, and the other end sort of goes clunk, and then they get tight, and then they won't move. They wear against the plastic, and the plastic's not tough enough, and you push the damn thing, and it breaks the switch in half. So, but these are okay, as far as I can see. I'm not going to go through it and knock the hell out of it. But a lot of stuff in there is made to look the same. I'll tell you though, we'll have to give them credit, because on the coil connector, I don't know if you can see that, maybe you're not getting the color, but they've actually used gold plated pins. So that's a positive. Now the thing is, I know some of these Chinese detector companies over there, and Some of them are okay. They're quite some are right quite okay to deal with. But the thing is, I don't know who makes these. I don't know if they're being made by one of the companies that I talk to, or they're made by someone else and distributed by these companies I talk to. I don't know the actual, logistics and the history. It could be a totally different crowd who got the designs of these and is making them and then resupplying. But you'll never know. You'll never find out. It's so secretive over there. Basil, if you're watching this video, you can probably tell me where these come from without saying too much. But these are, very much the same in a lot of regards. Now, I even look at the transformers there, the inductor and the transformer. That's this thing here. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're coming out of the same factory that was doing them for Minelab, and they've just said, "Oh, we want a transformer with this ratio, and we want an inductor with this inductance," and there they are, because they look absolutely identical. So there's a lot of identical stuff there, and there's also some stuff that's not identical. So it's just very, very strange, and they keep, like I say, if you go on AliExpress, these are there. Don't you? If you type in Minelab, it won't come up. But if you put in GDX 8000, it'll come up. So that's their own way around their intellectual property theft, and that's what it is. Don't say it's not, because it is 100%. So yeah, it is interesting. But Minelab's discontinued the 5000. They've discontinued the 4500. And if you did want one, well, the Chinese are still making similar, and it's probably not going to work the way you want it to. It would have to be cleaned up, a bit of work done to it to make it work. And just as a thing I'll do. Look, everyone asks me, "Oh, what do I do to fix this?" I'm not telling you, because I'll tell you what'll happen if I actually said how to fix this, right? Make it all work. Well, people here, right? Because some people here are unscrupulous as well, will start importing them and then utilizing my information to start selling them on the market. So I don't want to get involved in that. That's not fair. That's just a double whammy on IP theft. So no, if you do manage to get one and it has a problem, as far as I'm concerned, take the wires off the plug and send me the circuit board. Don't say what it is. Just say it doesn't work properly, so I'll fix it. But I don't really like fixing these, because it's supporting an undermining industry. It really is. You get caught between a rock and a hard place. You feel sorry for the poor bugger that's bought it, right? And they think they're getting a good deal on one of these. I think they sell them for $600, and it comes with a plastic shaft on the coil. You've got to throw that in the rubbish bin and get a proper fiberglass one, because it wobbles all over the place. That's something I found. Someone's brought in coil stems for these, and they just wobble. I can't say too much about them because I don't use them, but it works. It works after a bit of mucking around. It works. So it'll work out in the field, work fine. But like I say, I don't want to have all these things coming in saying, "Oh, can you please fix my GDX mystery box?" because there's weird stuff in these. I found really weird stuff, right? And I don't know what they're using to assemble them. I've actually found one of these, and in the bank of 4053s up here, I found one that was put in inverted. How did it ever get out the door? And I don't know what visual detection they're using on their pick and place machine, because it should have picked that up, but it did. It went in upside down. So that's one thing I found. But then again, I remember when Minelab were making 4500s, I had one come in and it was intermittent. And these three chips down here, right, the side closest to me, none of the pins were soldered. I had never had solder paste on them. They were just sitting there pressed on the board. And that was ages ago. That was, God, late 2000s. And I remember I found that and I said, oh, that's a production problem. So I actually called Minelab and told them, and I think they looked into it and found the problem. So, you know, maybe that saved the day back then. But, you know, if I do find, you know, silly things in detectors and that, you know, and the manufacturer just is unaware, well then, yeah, sometimes I just feel obliged to tell them. So there's not everyone out there buying something that, you know, is something that could play up in the future. And yeah, is there stuff on here that can play up in the future? Yes. Basically, the biggest problem for these detectors, this is any of them that use the damping, you can't see it, of course, we'll get it around that way, the damping FET, the damping FET. It's just basically being used as a resistor, a variable resistor, by minute changes on the gate, and operates in its so-called linear region. Not that linear actually, but they say it is. Well, it's either, if you hit more volts, it's either off or on. But if you just tickle it, you know, volt and a half or under or something, you can turn it into a variable resistor. You can use that for damping, by the way. Anyway, I wonder what's in those black boxes on the other detectors. Okay. So, yeah, that thing there, what actually happens is this capacitor, this big one here, this is the one that zaps you. This is the dangerous one that can charge up to about 190 volts on occasion, 150 microfarads. It's enough to give you a boot and a half and send you out of your chair across the room. I've done. So always be wary, don't stick your fingers there, because if they're covered up with paint, they're pointy and it'll stick through the paint and go bang into your hand. Or if you're hanging onto another part of the board like a ground or something and then touch it, it'll go right across your chest. And yeah, it's like the opposite of a defibrillator, or whatever they call it. The heart starter defibrillator. That's the word I'm looking for. Don't try and say that with dry lips. Defibrillator. So yeah, possibly dangerous if there's bleeder resistors that go open circuit and sits there with high voltage across it, and you touch it, and it's a wet, steamy, sticky day, and you touch it, wacko. Which when it happened to me, I did it with an SD2000. Gee, I never did it again. I'm always wary where I put my fingers. Anywhere near that FET there, the back of those diodes also will have 200, 190, 200 volts. It can be as low as about 160. It can be up. I've seen it. If the regulator, if the feedback system on the regulator goes, I've actually seen over 200 volts there, 230 volts sitting there, and I don't know why the front end hasn't gone for a launch into outer space, but it survived it. But yeah, all charged up, sitting there, 230 volts across it. So you don't want to touch that. That's a fair bit of energy there. And if you came across that, it will do nasties. So, yeah, apart from that, everything is much of a muchness. The one that gets me, and I'm going to point this out, it's quite funny. actually, because you think they just want to make a functioning knockoff detector. And in the Minelab designs, in areas that are subject to added resistor noise, you want to keep things stable. You just don't want to use carbon, crappy old 5% resistors there. They use, like 0.1% MELF resistors, which are the tubular ones. Do you really need to use MELFs in a lot of seat? No, you can use metal film 0.1%. You can get really good ones, and they're probably as good as the MELFs anyway. But for a functioning detector, you don't have to. You can just use metal films, 0.1s. But in the Minelab designs, they've used the round tubular MELF type resistors. And it's funny that the knockoff here has exactly the same tubular resistors on the circuit board. So yeah, near that 4053 there. This is all just feeds the 4053 from the op amps, but and the switches and so forth, and and also on the input stage here you can see they run those MELF resistors as well. MELFs are very stable, low noise, but you can just put thin film metal oxide resistors in there. They're low ohmage. There's no massive voltage across them. Not going to blow up, and they work fine. As I've never been able to detect any difference in noise floor by changing those. If you put carbon resistors in there, yeah, they would go pear-shaped, but you can get away with metal film. Sorry, not metal oxide. Metal film resistors, and very, very tight tolerance, and you want to get a good temperature tracking on them so they don't change massively. Temperature coefficient is a proper terminology, but get a close, nice, tight temperature control in the way they're made so it doesn't fly off one way or the other on a hot day and a cold day. And not that it'd probably make any difference around this area anyway, but you don't want that. It's basically the same, except for that business. I couldn't work it out when I saw that. There's a big lot of hot melt glue blob there, and on the hot melt glue was painted over with white paint. I mean, they just didn't blob paint there or something. So I hit it with the isopropyl alcohol, and that loosened it up a bit. Then I hit it with the heat gun to make it a bit more jelly-like, and then I hit it with the isopropyl while it was still cooling down. It was probably somewhere around about 60 Celsius, and that got straight under it and basically wanted to lift itself off. So I popped it off, and I saw all that little wiring, what shall I call it, wiring network. So basically it's putting switches that are connected on this mylar. It's a mylar copper strip connector, and whatever the switches here, and they come out on the contacts of the mylar. There's the contacts there, if you can see them, and they go into the plug here, and they go on the corresponding connections. Well, obviously there is a difference between what switch was operating what mode, so they've had to cut the tracks and rewire the switches. So yeah, it might have been that there's something funny going on. They've tried to make a 5000. It hasn't worked. Maybe they did do a complete board design based on the 5000 with the different switch positions, and have gone, we have to change it back to a 4500 switch layout. That could be it. I haven't even looked anyway to see if it's the same or not. So let's have a look at a real one, and we'll compare it, because this is a 45 down here. Sorry, wrong end. Have I got the right end? Yeah. Okay, got one here. So have a look, just for interest's sake. Okay. Custom, deep, enhance, special, tracking, double D, cancel. Well, guess what? It's exactly the same layout as a 4500. So what that tells me is they tried to make a 5000, couldn't get fine gold working. So that is interesting or quite hilarious, depending how you want to look at it. Yeah, because if you get a 5000 and have a look at the front, it's a different layout. Anyway, I'll put that back there. So yeah, any of you guys who are trying to get hold of these cheaper detectors, be mindful that you may be not getting what you want. And I don't have the time to sit there and fix these things, those things there, fix them up. It just came in and I said, oh, why not? And I'll do a video on it too. Why not, eh? So you did see, I did a video when it first came in. It was a wooden ground balance. It was a bucket of noise. It was all over the shop. And now it's all behaving as it should. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Don't want to stretch it out too much, but just be wary. There's also the brown one out there called the GDX 7000, right? But if you open it up, it's got a copy knockoff 4500 board in it again. And we all know they're the knockoffs because they're exactly part for part Minelab. Done well before the Chinese one started turning up. So, you don't have to be a Rhodes Scholar or a nuclear physicist to understand what's going on there. So, it's just the thing. I say this, and you think I'm taking a shot at the Chinese. Well, the Japanese did it in the 60s. The Japanese copied everybody's everything, and they still kept doing it. And I think started to pull their heads in a little bit in the 1990s when the US got serious and said, if you keep doing it, well, we'll just ban your products from coming into the country. Basically what Trump's doing with the Chinese now. So, it's all happened before. And no one will tell you and everyone's forgotten and no one knows. But it is it's interesting, isn't it, that we've seen this sort of stuff before. Knockoffs. It's very common. So if it wasn't the Chinese, it'd be someone else doing it. So it's just what happens. So you probably know anyway. Knockoffs happen everywhere for everything. So not just China. China does it. It's everyone does it. Even a lot of knockoffs. Not to the level of these metal detectors and that, but a lot of stuff comes out of Brazil, South America, knocked off, copied. Mexico, or could say some stuff about Mexico and what comes out of Mexico. No. But anyway, that's that. So if that was of some use and that has saved someone some grief, great. If it has upset our friends over in Asia, well, so be it. They're doing a good job of upsetting Minelab Coden, so we can upset them back. I think fair's fair. You cause them grief. You can have some grief back, but they are not 100%. Because I've seen a few, and they're not 100%. They unstable. Oh, actually, I'll be polite about it. Not made for Australian ground, I suppose. Don't like the Australian ground composition. They're probably all right for a golf course or something like that, but not our golf fields. and maybe they've never been tested on a gold field by the people who put them together. But I don't know. $600. Well, yeah, I wouldn't buy one because I've got enough 4500s as it is, and I've got everyone else's. I'm not going to show you up there. It's just ridiculous. The amount of detectors going, do me. Yeah. So yeah, we'll do that. By the way, I saw. I might as well add this on. Nugget Finder are bringing out their new coil, and it said works on someone's modified detectors. Oh yes, guaranteed. Didn't say it worked on our modified detectors, but I can tell you they will work on our modified detectors no matter what they are, because now these work perfectly fine on our modded detectors, and as far as I know, other people still have an issue with other modified detectors where they can't increase the gain. But there's tricks to the trade, and yeah, done it. Dave just went out and tested it on, well, TJ got your detector here. Dave went out and tested it with this, and we can run full frequency, full gain. Okay, so, and that's a lot of gain, and it's going to scream like hell on little tiny targets. But if that's what you want, that's what you're going to find. You know, so put any other coil on, it's going to work just the same. But yeah, a little bit of fine tuning, and it's really good. Not bad at all. So yeah, from now on, every time we do a detector, we'll go out and we're going to test them, and not just say, "Oh, look, in the workshop it comes up 100%, good, fantastic." No, they're going to get swung over the ground, and also that'll just give it a different amount of EMI coming in, and different ground types and different target sizes, and you know, just make it so it works in the real world properly. So interesting stuff. But yeah, tested. Like I said the other day, I went out and did testing with the fellows who had the Algo Force and the other detectors, and they all work fine. No problem there. But yeah, I'd say that the new Nugget Finder coil will probably be along the lines of the Coiltech Elite Max. It'll be some configuration, possibly the same, possibly similar, um, possibly more fussy than a normal coil, probably some sort of partial flat wind to give it some really overall sensitivity, and you know, some wider depth, with everything being a compromise, of course, because no free lunch in any coil design. So yeah, that's where we are. That's too much. Too much video. Anyway, I've got to go back and put all this stuff back together. I've still got stuff I've got to do here, so I'll be back next video. I think the next video is going to be sizes of gold, or is it weights of gold and detection depth? How far can we were asked this, and David's going to do a video with me on this. How far can we detect a point? It's 0.3 gram nugget with a certain size coil. And when we do this, this is going to be a bit of an eye opener, because there's more to it than meets the eye. So we'll just say that, because that's what it was. It's based on a 0.3 gram nugget. So I've got to go and find a 0.3 gram nugget now, and we're going to do some detection depths on it. We're going to bury it in the ground, and Yeah, I'll bury it in the ground and I'll leave it on top of the ground. There won't be any detection depth difference. That's the funny thing. People don't believe you when you tell them that. No, the ground will cut the signal out. No, it doesn't. It's friggin' basically inert to a PI. Okay, if basically if I had a magnet, okay, and I had a piece of metal and I'm feeling the pull of the magnet. Now say I've got a great big rock and put it between the two. Does the magnetic force diminish? I know it doesn't, but a lot of people, unless it's full of nickel, then it might have an effect. But normally it will have no effect, especially rocks. Big lump of metal, maybe it's going to cause some field of the magnetic field lines to go elsewhere and lose. But just in dirt, powdered rock, sand, quartz, your general gravel, basalt, stuff like that, there's no damn difference. I've never ever found any difference. So that's why people say, oh, but air tests mean nothing. Okay, go through life believing that if you want, fantastic. But yeah, it's all low frequency stuff. There's nothing really affects it. VLFs, yes. The higher the frequency, the more the effect. But we're talking very slow pulse rates out of these detectors, and it's like turning a magnet on and off. Right? Sort of, if you had an electromagnet, you could, well, guess what the coil is, right? It's not an electromagnet; it hasn't got a big metal core in there, but the same overall with the windings, isn't it? Think about it, and it's not pulsed very fast; it's just square waves, and yeah, all good fun. Anyway, catches.